sometimes that very thing that they try to keep away from you, sometimes that's the thing that's going to help you stand out. So here's how to break through gatekeeping in IT and keep it moving. So let's get to it. So the first thing I want to look at is some examples of gatekeeping in IT. So for those of you that may be in that transition phase of trying to get into IT, you may have experienced this already. So, and that's downplaying the IT industry. So this is where you're talking to someone who's already working into IT or already working in tech. And basically they're telling you that it's not worth it for you to try to get into it. Or maybe they're telling you that the pay is bad. Or maybe they're telling you, oh, AI is going to take over the whole IT industry. So ain't no need for you to try to get into it. A lot of times they may say that because sometimes that person may often see you as competition. And then also they know that, okay, if you get into it, then that's less opportunity for them. So some people think that way, where my thought process in this is that it's enough to eat out here for everyone. So, you know what I'm saying, everyone can get into the industry. You know, it just takes that hard work and dedication. So a lot of times, you know, they may say it's not worth it, but then that's all depending on who is not worth it too. So if you're taking someone who's already making six figures and they're trying to move up to make more, then they may say, oh, I'm at this point where I can't move up anymore, or I can't seem to get another pay raise. So it may not be worth it to them. But then for someone that's just coming in, let's say if the job you at now is making $40,000 and you transition into tech and you're getting started at $60,000, $70,000, then in my eyes, it's totally worth it. So a lot of times you'll hear people reflect on this because they'll tell you that, oh, it's not worth it anymore because they already been in it for some years and they may be burnt out. You know, it's a lot of reasons that go into it, but they're not thinking of it from your point of view where you're trying to get into it. They're not thinking of it of, okay, you get into it, this is going to be a $25,000, $30,000 increase. So a lot of times you'll hear this downplaying the IT industry. This is one example of gatekeeping that I've experienced it. I've seen others do it. You know, you can talk to plenty of people depending on who you talk to. They may tell you some of these same reasons, that it's not worth it or the pay is bad. And a lot of times I think it's just because they're not looking at it from your point of view, or sometimes if you're in the same city going for the same type of roles, you could necessarily be their competition. So my third example of gatekeeping in IT, that's refusing to cross-train. So this ties back to the second example of having restriction of different tools and access. But basically this is when a team member has this one application, or maybe they have a couple of applications that they support, but they don't want to cross-train anyone else on the team on that certain application. And a lot of times when you dig down to it, that certain application, a lot of times it's one of the main applications for an organization, or one of the main applications that an organization uses. So let's say if it's something like an Active Directory, or let's say if it's something like SCCM. So something like that, like SCCM, can be used for plenty of things, but most of the time it's used for sending out updates to different PCs on the network. Now I know Microsoft may have updated or upgraded it to Intune, but basically the same premise, where you can support all your devices from this one application. You know, you can push out updates. Also, you can use SCCM to image PCs. So just having that knowledge of that application is very valuable at any organization you go to. So if someone has the training for this application, and let's say that they want to make sure that they remain valuable, they remain needed to that organization. So a lot of times that gives them the reason to not want to get someone else trained up on it. Because if I get someone else trained up on it, that means that basically I'm not really needed as much, because if they get rid of me, they got this secondary person who I done trained up on everything. So a lot of times you will see this form of gatekeeping once you get into the IT industry, where often you may be on a team, and sometimes you have that one team member. I'm not saying that everyone is like this, but sometimes you will have that one team member who in the back of their mind, they're saying to themselves, oh, there's a lot of layoffs going on, which it is. And they may say that, okay, I'm the only one on my team that knows this application, and this application is something that the whole organization uses. So that way, I'm for sure, I'm banking on that if something goes down, we need to lay off or something like that, I won't get laid off because I'm the only one that know this application. So sometimes you'll see people do that. Sometimes, Lee, you may be fortunate enough, like for me, the team I got on, or all the teams I was ever on, basically I didn't run into any kind of gatekeeping where basically anything I wanted to learn, they would give me access. They would go down and train me on it. They would let me make the changes. When issues came up, they would kind of walk me through doing the troubleshooting, walk me through making the changes, walking me through managing that application. So, but this is one form of gatekeeping you may see in the IT industry. So the next thing I want to look at is why would someone choose to gatekeep in the IT industry? So the very first reason I could come up with was fear of replacement. So basically, they want to hold back knowledge because they think that if you learn what I know, I'm no longer valuable. So basically, a lot of times, if it's something that they know that I'm the only one that knows how to manage this product, knows how to manage this technology, knows how to manage this application, I'm the one that's supporting it now. This is the main thing I support. So basically, if I train someone on this application to get them just as good as me, now I no longer have that leverage. So where if I want to go and get a pay increase, I no longer have that leverage anymore. So this is something that you see happens a lot because, you always hear of a lot of layoffs going on in the industry. So a lot of times people start to fear that, okay, I'm replaceable. So I need to learn something that's valuable that I can't be replaced on. So something that I'm the only one that knows it. I know it inside and out. So that way it's less likely that I would get laid off or maybe I would get replaced. But like I said, it ain't 100% proof. But some people do have that mindset and do have that way of thinking. And then my second reason is they may have insecurity or imposter syndrome. So a lot of times they may be afraid that if someone else starts helping me manage this application, then they may realize that I don't know as much as I led off to know about this application. So you do have those cases also to where someone's managing this application and they may be doing pretty good. They may be able to get by. But then once someone else starts looking at it and that person digs down deeper and kind of does more research than that original person that's supporting that application, a lot of times they may start to expose that, okay, this person ain't as good as I thought he was, or this person may not know as much about this application as I thought also. So sometimes people do have that insecurity or that fear that, okay, if this person starts helping me out or if I start training this person, I'm afraid that they'll expose what I don't really know. Sometimes, like I said, they may not know that application as well as we thought they did.